Thank you for joining us
Welcome,
for
and
the
thank you for
second
joining
of
us for
four
the
Park
third
Heights
session of the
Community
Park
Charrettes.
Heights Community
We learned
Charrette
a lot
series.
from our first
Having-
charrette.
One last detail of housekeeping for those of you who don't know, the restrooms are in the transitional hallway. So the hallway that you walk through to get here, you passed by the men and the women's room. Just make a note. I hope you enjoy the video, and we look forward to talking to you beyond it. Thank you.
Welcome, and thank you for joining us for the third session of the Park Heights Community Charrette series. Having completed 2 charrettes now, we are feeling the excitement and energy building from residents.
Thank you for joining us for the second of 4 Park Heights Community Charrettes. We learned a lot from our first charrette and can't wait to get feedback from this one. And on behalf of Park Heights Renaissance, I'm Yolanda Jiggins. I'm the Chief Executive Officer. And on behalf of our staff and our Board of Directors, we want to let you know that this series is a show of our commitment and purpose, which is to partner with residents and stakeholders to implement the vision of the Park Heights Master Plan. The outcome we expect is to finally have a blueprint or a playbook that defines our collective vision. Essentially, we want you to make sure that you are included in the design of the future Park Heights. We also want you to leave here understanding you deserve a healthy and thriving community. This type of community typically has robust schools, a clean and safe physical environment, diverse and equitable housing, access to health care and healthy foods, and businesses and employment opportunities. In this region, which includes Central Park Heights, Lucille Park, and Langston Hughes neighborhoods, we have a good number of those assets. First, we have the Langston Hughes Community Business and Resource Center, which is growing and expanding workforce development services, and they continue to provide food access to many residents in Park Heights. We have the Parklane Shopping Center, which has plans for renovation and attraction of new potential businesses. The major redevelopment area is making steady progress with 3 major projects currently underway that will bring 2 senior housing buildings, single-family homes, and 2 affordable apartment buildings, green spaces, and a new library. We have an outdoor recreational space that hosts football leagues and other youth activities. We have Park West Health System that has 2 locations in Central Park Heights, and they've been serving this community for more than 50 years. And we have a newly renovated rec center, and this is just to name a few. But we also know there's more work to be done here also. We need to attract more businesses and strengthen existing businesses. We need more healthy food options or upgrades of existing food markets. We need to determine what the community wants to see for the next phases in the major redevelopment area. Is it more housing options? Is it more retail? Is it both? But we want to hear from you tonight to identify what you want to see in your community. Want more retail stores? Do you want improved parks? Are there other things that you want to be included in your community? So last, I want to explain why we chose to do charrettes. We chose to host these charrettes because charrettes are meant to bring large numbers of stakeholders together to map solutions, to design projects, and develop the vision for the future. Now, what's different about this is it is not just another meeting where we talk and the process drags on for a long time. Charrettes are meant to gain broad feedback so we can move to the implementation phases very quickly. And so tonight, I thank you again for your commitment to mapping the successful future of the Park Heights community for generations to come. And we can't wait to hear from our young people again. Thank you for joining us for the second of 4 Park Heights Community Charrettes.
Welcome, and thank you for joining us for the third session of the Park Heights Community Charrette series. Having completed 2 charrettes now, we are feeling the excitement and energy building from residents, stakeholders, and partners. We all know that the faith-based community is a significant partner in this work as well, so we thank First Baptist Church of Pimlico for hosting us tonight. And on behalf of Park Heights Renaissance, I'm Yolanda Jiggets. I'm the Chief Executive Officer. And on behalf of our staff and our Board of Directors, we want to let you know that this series is a show of our commitment and purpose, which is to partner with residents and stakeholders to implement the vision of the Park Heights Master Plan. The outcome we expect is to finally have a blueprint or a playbook that defines our
group conversations. The second critical piece of information is take a few minutes, find your raffle ticket, make sure you have it. You're going to need to be here at the end of the evening to have an opportunity to win a fantastic prize. So make sure you have that raffle ticket. So when the numbers are called, nobody's saying, I don't have a ticket. If you don't have a ticket, we'll get that to you so that you're prepared for the raffle. If you don't have a ticket, let us know by raising your hand. All right, we got a room full of winners. We're going to go back to the other side of the room. Are you coming to the microphone, Yolanda? We'll see you across the hall.
Welcome, and thank you for joining us for the third session of the Park Heights Community Charrette series. Having completed 2 charrettes now, we are feeling the excitement and energy building from residents, stakeholders, and partners. We all know that the faith-based community is a significant partner in this work as well, so we thank First Baptist Church of Pimlico for hosting us tonight. And on behalf of Park Heights Renaissance, I'm Yolanda Jiggets. I'm the Chief Executive Officer. And on behalf of our staff and our Board of Directors, we want to let you know that this series is a show of our commitment and purpose, which is to partner with residents and stakeholders to implement the vision of the Park Heights Master Plan. The outcome we expect is to finally have a blueprint or a playbook that defines our collective vision. Essentially, we want you to make sure that you are included in the design of the future Park Heights. We also want you to leave here understanding you deserve a healthy and thriving community. This type of community typically has robust schools, a clean and safe physical environment, diverse and equitable housing, access to health care and healthy foods, and businesses and employment opportunities. In this region, which includes Arlington, Woodmere, and Pimlico Good Neighbors, we already have some great assets. But just to name a few, first, we have a fantastic 21st century school at Arlington Elementary Middle. This region is also home to the Maryland NBA and Hilltop Shopping Center, which also has one of few banks in the community, along with Subway sandwiches and a host of other shopping options. We have an accessible transit location at the Rogers Avenue Metro stop. There's a beautiful Arlington Community Garden. And we must brag about the rich history of some of the best Caribbean eateries in Baltimore, including the West Indies Market, Montego Bay Bakery and Restaurant, Judy's Island Grill and West Indies Flavor that serve the best Trinidadian doubles in Maryland. And we all know that we have the world-famous Pimlico Racecourse that hosts the annual Preakness racing events, and that is slated for redevelopment over the next few years. And many of us know we have the long-standing 5 Mile House and Blue Caribbean that have been long-standing staples for great nightlife, entertainment, and food as well. And then we have the world-famous bean pies right here in Park Heights at KT's Kitchen. And we have the first social settlement house in pre-development phases right now that will support Pastor Randall's case management work
at the house. But we also know there is much more to be done here. There are many businesses that need to be promoted and supported to grow and strengthen their business. We may also need to attract more businesses. We need more outdoor recreational spaces for youth and families to gather. And we all know we need more healthy food options or upgrades of existing food markets throughout the community. And vacant properties along the Belvedere corridor require much needed attention. But we want to hear from you tonight to identify what you want to see in your community. Want more retail stores? Do you want improved parks? Are there other things that you want to be included in your community? So last, I want to explain why we chose to do charrettes. We chose to host these charrettes because charrettes are meant to bring large numbers of stakeholders together to map solutions, to design projects, and develop the vision for the future. Now, what's different about this is it is not just another meeting where we talk and the process drags on for a long time. Charrettes are meant to gain broad feedback so we can move to the implementation phases very quickly. And so tonight, I thank you again for your commitment to mapping the successful future of the Park Heights community for generations to come.
was the facilitator for our robust schools. She will report out.
Good evening, everyone. I wasn't quite finished my discussion with how we were developing a concept for a charter school here in Park Heights. So in robust schools, there were three things that kind of stuck out. One, again, goes back to, if you don't know, the Pimlico community, Park Heights community only has one middle school, and that's at the Pimlico Elementary Middle School site. So a lot of our students are either, going to other schools outside of the district, or they are a part of the 750 students that attend Pimlico Elementary Middle School. And so the idea was developing, and this kind of goes into the employment piece too, developing a program, a charter school or developing of some sort that would provide vocational training to young people in that, starting at the middle school age and through high school. So that even incorporates a high school piece. I didn't even think about that. And then, providing those skills and resources and services to those young people to be employed not only in their community, but throughout our community of Baltimore, right? So some of those skills include plumbing, contracting, any of those employable vocational schools that have kind of, we take for granted, plumbing, things like that. So one of the obstacles we know would be having the location for that. And so we was just talking to, I do not know her name, but we were just talking about using containers to develop a school, right? So using private partners, our public entities, federal government, state partners to help us access funding to create that school. So of course, that's a big reach. That's something that we would love to see. If we could see it, in the next couple of years, that would be awesome, but that is something, or overarching long-term goal that we would like to see, a school that provides that level of service. Another important goal or recommendation that we have is exposing our students to the culture of Park Heights, so introducing them to the things that are right here in our communities, right? So giving them a historical perspective and opportunity to visit some of our historical landmarks. So we have the Pimlico Racetrack, we have the Sankofa Center, we have Silburn, and we have all these other historical places that are here. So someone had made mention about the black jockeys and them living on Denmore, right? That becoming a historical landmark, and taking our students there and teaching them about those that history, right? So that they can take some pride in the community that they live in and be exposed. They don't really know that these things exist in their communities, right here in their community, right? You don't have to go far to be exposed to some level of history that, helps to build your character and all of those things, right? That you can pass along for generations to generations. So just preserving and exposing students to that history and culture that exists. And so the impact of that is our youth are exposed to and have some historical basis of the community that they live in, which ultimately hope the ideal goal is for them to take pride in their community, right? So take care of the community that you live in because of all of those historical pieces that exist in your community. And the final, and this kind of goes in tow with the vocational piece, but offering life skills and survival skills to our students in our already existing schools from elementary school through middle school. So providing financial training, right? Preparing them for work-life balance, right? How to balance a checkbook, even though sort of obsolete, right? Checkbooks are obsolete, but introducing them to those things, paying bills on time, right? Knowing what debt to income ratio looks like, being able to budget your money, how to save your money. So introducing kids very early on to that financial stability, as well as another piece, including some level of home economics, right? Those basic skills that we take for granted. How to wash clothes, how to, wash dishes properly. When I was growing up, the kitchen wasn't clean unless the dishes was put away, right? So going back and teaching those kids those basic day-to-day life skills that they can take on with them as they, grow and mature. So those are three things that we discussed collectively as a group, and I think I've done my part.
Good evening, y'all. My name is Reniqua Edwards, and I will be reporting out for the Clean and Safe Environments. This is my help, Derek. Thank y'all for coming out, but extra thanks to my table, Miss Warfield, Miss Taylor, Miss Allen, and Miss Lawson. Thank y'all for everything y'all had to say from the Arlington community. At our table, our concerns were community engagement across generation, from the youth to our older groups. We talked about porch lighting, and we also talked about recreation. So our solution to our porch lighting issue is to
Well, this would be one of the, it's a short-term and long-term. This would be one of the short-term solutions. It's to try to get with our community leaders to get a list of folks in the neighborhood that could use porch lighting, and we could try to provide porch lighting to try to light up the neighborhood. So that's one of the concerns, and the lighting would be one of the solutions for short-term. Got it? So now long-term would be, the long-term would be is what the citizens of the community have an issue. They would like to provide a safe space for the youth. And there's a lot of adopting lots in the Arlington area, so they would like to see a lot be adopted. And they hear that it's quite a few shipping containers that's coming to the area. They would like to get a couple shipping containers, build a roof over top to create almost a recreational center for the youth, starting with certain ages, certain times of the day, going up to the next group in that matter. And then also, with that being said, try to get the parents that enroll their kids into the program to get them to volunteer to help with some of the gardeners as well as the actual recreational center itself. But that's long term. Long term, we mean about maybe 2 to 3 years out, because there's the process and laws and rules that has to be obeyed.
And another part of that long-term plan, as far as getting our parents and our children involved, is to have more incentives going on. And this is where we talked about the schools coming in. We're not sure if the schools do community hours that the children have to have, but if that were something that they would do, that would force the children to have to be involved to get the community hours from either volunteering in the garden, the recreation center, or the cleanups, and also to avoid it being like a parent drop-off situation and turn into babysitting. We want to get the parents involved by having initiatives for the parents where if you volunteer in the gardens or in the recreational space, then we are able to provide things that parents may need, like haircuts for their children if they showed up to volunteer X amount of time. Same for the kids, being able to do some free clothing, anything to help with any insecurity going on in the neighborhood. So using that as an incentive to get the people involved versus just having more than enough programs out there but not enough people to fill it. I think that's all. Thank you.
All right.
Hello, my name is Brianna Fermansky. I'm one of PHR's social work interns, and I was at the Healthcare and Healthy Food Access table. First and foremost, we decided that a produce market would be necessary for the community, or a new supermarket, and this could also come in forms of like farmers markets as well. Our second is to bring healthcare to the people through travel clinics or churches, etc. And then our third one is to be growing more food locally so that we can have sources right here within the community. And that's kind of the gist of it, I guess. Thank you.
Okay, hello everybody. Lift this up a little bit. Okay, so my table was equitable housing. I want to thank everybody who took the time to be at our table. We had a really good discussion, and I was happy to hear a lot of the comments and ideas. So we had a few kind of ideas, if you will, goals. One was affordable housing for young professionals. How do we diversify that housing stock for folks who are just getting started in their career, maybe don't have a lot of income saved to purchase a home? So like, how do we help with young professionals and just folks getting started? And that led to kind of a discussion also just about more diversity in the incomes of Park Heights. How do we bring people of different levels into the neighborhood? And that solution is by providing that housing that is diverse and open for anyone who is wanting to live in our community. We also talked about the cost of doing rehab or new construction, how it is very high, and we talked about some ways to offer assistance and support to get costs down, which included energy efficiency models, different low-income housing tax credit possibilities, Section 8 home ownership opportunities was something that came up, as well as just speeding up the process of being able to rehab vacant properties being a solution as well. And then finally, we talked a little bit about just what a neighborhood, that there should be a quality of what the neighborhood looks like so that people are drawn into the neighborhood. So having good lighting, as was mentioned in one of the other groups, also having clean green spaces and having green spaces in order for people to be able to hang out or walk their dogs or play with their children. So those were some of the issues that we assessed. And yes, thank you.
Good evening, folks. So, as it stated, I was at the Business Employment and Training Opportunities table. In all honesty, we didn't talk about employment opportunities much. We did focus a lot on businesses. One of the things that we talked about was more boutique shops as far as clothing and shoes, right, in the neighborhood, where you could have a more intimate shopping experience that would foster a relationship between businesses and residents, right? And that's something that once upon a time we really had in each neighborhood. You had a shopkeeper who knew your children and outfitted your children in Easter clothes from this high on up until they stopped going to church on Easter, right? Talked about more florists and gift shops in the neighborhood. Of course, flowers just kind of brighten up things, right? And that's just something that you want to see, right? The brightness and the pleasantness of it. Gift shops, of course, you're buying something intimate for somebody to convey something to them, right? Whether it's a birthday or Christmas or, a thank you gift, something like that. Full service grocery stores, right? What I didn't know was that Eddie's used to be in Park Heights. And now Eddie's is like an exclusive market, right? I was kind of shocked to find out that it was an Eddie's in Park Heights, because there are only like 2 or 3 now, and I don't think that there is more than one in the city. And that one it's on Charles Street, right? So, Roland Avenue, right? Exactly. So, and then an IT training center from an IT professional, right? We got that idea from an IT professional. And one thing that stood out to me was that he said that you don't have to learn a language to be in IT, right? Because there's so many language barriers, especially now you have a lot of people, a lot of immigrants now who know English and can communicate bilingually. However, our kids can't do the same, right? And it makes a big difference. And the one thing that stood out about that for me was the workforce development piece, because IT careers are where the money is, right? And we want our kids to have a better lifestyle than what we had. Excuse me. Then the idea was brought up about a farmer's market or flea market that we could do weekly or bi-weekly or monthly. One thing that was brought up by Ren was how some areas have like first Fridays or last Fridays, where you could have something at the end of the month or the beginning of the month where everybody comes to a central location, you hawk your wares, whatever your services are, whether it's clothing, whether it's plumbing, whether it's baked goods, right? And everybody can see who's in the area, get to know who's in the area, build those relationships that we miss, you know? Think about the times when, back in the day, you could be 3 blocks from your house and cut up, and Miss Jones saw you cut up, and by the time you got back home, a parent was waiting for you, right? And that's a personal experience for me. I remember walking into the door one time, wondering why my father had that belt in his hand, and I found out the hard way, right? And those things would create investment in the community, right? Create those relationships. And what we need to do is lean heavily on our community associations, right? To create those connections so that we can have people with the information across the board and have those people talking to one another, community association presidents linking with one another to create these forums for everybody to come to the table, learn about what's in their neighborhoods, and spend their monies in the neighborhood to generate a more robust economy in their neighborhoods. And another point that was brought up was connectivity in our neighborhoods, right? While not a brick and mortar thing, we need to facilitate connectivity because not everybody has access to tech, right? There are people who are deathly afraid of smartphones and computers. And we need to look at training opportunities to help everybody understand that as we move forward, these are the things that are going to help us keep up with what's going on. These are what's going to help us circulate information. And that's about it.
So come on, y'all can do better than that. Give yourselves a hand of applause. We celebrate you. We celebrate your coming together to build consensus around these conversation topics, and we excitedly look forward to reviewing the information that has been shared, to identifying the themes, and to highlight what you are putting forward as the priorities for economic development in this community. So let me just say thank you right here, right now, for your contributions. Before I bring Yolanda up for closing remarks, my assistant, Sean, is with me again tonight, and Sean is going to help identify our raffle winners. So find your raffle ticket, get it out now. Get it out now because Sean is going to draw the second prize winner first. Less dominant hand, look away.
I hope y'all ready. 050083. Whoa!
Hey! We celebrate her. We celebrate you. Thank you so much. She won a gift card for a restaurant of her choice and a gift card for a $20 shopping spree at Target. And our grand prize winner is, look away, look away.
Somebody feeling lucky. 050117. Ah!
Congratulations to our grand prize winner. People are going to want to know what she has, so you might as well just open it up so people can see. She said, what's in there? I mean, I didn't expect a box.
Yeah. Look at that. Ooh. That's a Keurig coffee maker. Ladies and gentlemen, it's a Keurig. Park Heights Renaissance.
Enjoy.
Right.
Yolanda Jiggets, everybody.
So once again, I know it's late. I just want to thank you all for participating. But before we go, some of the things that you heard tonight, I heard some great ideas. I want to just make sure, too, just to do a quick wrap-up of some of the great things that are happening in Park Heights that you leave here tonight, you'll be like, oh, and you can spread the word and spread the positivity and to get involved. Since 2020, when I first came to PHR, we've been involved personally in Renaissance Row is open now. For those of you who may not know, it's a new apartment complex that brought 84 units of affordable housing to residents here and attracted residents from across the city to Park Heights. Those were full within 3 months. So you know that there's a need for housing. Loyola Northway, long-standing problem. Fox 45, blasting it on TV. If you drive past there today, at least 12 new homeowners are in that block. And I say at least because our phase 1 was 12 units, but it's also trickled effect that others in the neighborhood are now fixing up their properties. And the next phase will be to address, and we're in phase 2 of addressing the residents who live there as well. So that's our approach. We're not trying to box our residents out. We're not trying to gentrify. We're trying to provide diverse housing opportunities for many different levels of people who live in Park Heights. We also broke ground on a transit-oriented development project, the first in Park Heights, that will be at the Cold Spring Metro Station, that will bring another 163 units of affordable rental units for those who aren't quite ready for home ownership. And if you look up and down Park Heights on the main corridor, you'll see buildings going up. Our community partners high are working on senior buildings, so we'll have 70 plus senior buildings, residents coming up. Next door will be apartment complex with another 70 plus units across the street where we've been having parties and community events, which we all know is the 17 acres, will be over 260 units of housing, including senior housing and including single-family homes for home ownership. So I just want, and that's just to name a few things, but I want you not to leave here tonight not knowing that all of this is going on in Park Heights. So please stay involved. I appreciate you coming tonight. After we have these charrettes, as I said in the video, this is not going to sit on the shelf. This is not information we're not going to do anything with. We are going to be including this as a part of our strategic planning launch, which we're already in, and our focus areas for our strategic plan, which we launched in December, are generating economic opportunities. That is focusing on business development, is focusing on workforce development, and is focusing on home ownership. And at the center of all of that is community engagement. So we want to make sure the 20-plus residents, not to mention how many businesses, faith-based churches, community organizations, we're probably looking at about 30,000 residents, partners that we're trying to engage. So we want to be intentional. We know that we have not reached as many people as we want to, because we have a lot of people to reach. But we need your help. We're looking for partnerships to engage our residents, and we're just looking to make sure that we can build the best and brightest and thriving Park Heights we can. So thank you for coming tonight, and we appreciate your participation. Oh, and just one last thing. We have one more charrette. Just because you attended tonight does not mean you are not welcome to the next one. All have been a little different. So our last charrette of this series is on Thursday, this Thursday, April 6th, same time, food at 5, the charrette starts at 6, but this time we'll be at the Center for Hope. And for those of you who don't know, Sinai opened a new Center for Hope, which addresses trauma and also houses now the Safe Streets program. So we hope to see you there. If you're not able to make it, please stop by Center for Hope and get to know them, particularly around services that are needed for our youth around child abuse, our older adults who have, may be experiencing trauma, and our Safe Streets programs. Again, our violence prevention programs are now housed there. So thank you all. Safe travels. Hope to see you at the next one.